So when I'm thinking about making lecture materials or thinking about teaching, one thing that always comes up is how can we use images effectively? Now, we've all been there before. You go to a lecture, you have an awesome professor, but as the lecture slides come up, it's just walls and walls of text, and you naturally want to read them, you want to copy them all down, but what ends up happening is you inevitably tune out what your professor is saying and you miss things. And so as I began to teach, I began to think about how can we use images effectively to enhance the learner's experience. One thing to think about is there are many kinds of images. One kind of image is what we call a decorative image, something that basically enhances the aesthetic appeal of your lecture slide. And these are great because they make things more interesting, but a lot of times they don't really add any supplementary or additional information. Now, the second type of image that we often use is what we call complementary. Complementary images add additional or supplementary information. This might be providing images of finch beaks as you're talking about evolution and beak variation. Now, I really began to notice the effectiveness of using complementary images as I was teaching a second-year psychology course, and there was a really basic concept of how we orient our attention. And I thought, well, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to provide the definitions in a text form. But to my surprise, a lot of my students were confusing the definition and they weren't really grasping the concept. So in the second iteration of the course, I took what the definition was and I made a simple graphic. I made a simple image to demonstrate the two main components of how we orient attention. And I took away all the text and instead I verbalized the text as they were looking at the image. And what ended up happening was that students grasped the concept better and they did much better on the midterm, even though it was just the same question. When you're thinking about making lecture slides or office presentations or even a lab presentation, think about how are you effectively using images. Are they just there to make your slides look prettier, or are you actually providing complementary or supplementary information?